Welcome to Pathways to Aviation. This is day 5 of our big career symposium. We're excited to be at our last day, but we're even more excited to present to you a panel where we're focusing on educational opportunities. But just to take a quick step back, Pathways to Aviation is a nonprofit organization which informs, inspires, and engages aviation's next generation. We do those 3 things a number of ways, but with this week in particular, we're bringing together high school and college students. We have middle school students. We have all their teachers or teachers from schools all across the country and Australia. Job seekers who are looking for jobs immediately and those maybe a few months down the road, as well as industry leaders, employers, recruiters. We all come together to have a conversation, and those conversations can open the doors to flight training. They may open the doors to scholarships. They may open the door to universities, jobs, professional networking relationships. You name it, this is why we exist, is to create opportunities within the industry to advance the industry. And as part of it, we're trying to help young people land incredible careers and at the same time help employers find that great talent. So today we have a panel, and we're taking it off script a little bit. Eric and I are not participating in this discussion. We're taking a step back just to give you guys a break. And we're going to hand the controls over to Leah Oakes, who's going to take it from here and be your moderator. So Leah, it's all yours.
Thanks. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. And if you're joining on a later time, we really appreciate you watching this video. We hope it's really valuable to you and that your questions get answered. And if you still have more questions, please always reach out to Pathways. We're happy to answer any question you have about such a phenomenal industry we're in. So again, my name is Leah Oakes. I work as a manufacturing engineering manager for a company called Rix Industries. I've been in the aerospace and defense industry for about 7 years now. I consider myself very new to the industry, and I love being in such a fascinating industry. I fly privately. I fly a little Piper Cherokee just for fun. And I also sit on the board of directors for Pathways. So that's a little bit about me. I want to move on to introducing George. George, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Leah. Appreciate you guys having us. Yeah, my name's George Dewees. I'm a regional admissions director for Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. I've been with the university now for 19 years. My first 12 years, I was based on the Daytona Beach campus. My background, prior to being at the university, I was in the Navy for 9 years, and I worked in aviation maintenance as a technician. Just to date myself a little bit, I joined the Navy about 6 months before the movie Top Gun came out. So my whole Navy career was on F-14s. So I'm pretty excited about the sequel coming out. But so after the Navy, I actually worked for another school, an aviation maintenance school, where a friend of mine was running the school. Got a lot of great experience. Then I moved over to Embry-Riddle. So as I said, been there for 19 years. I have 2 sons that graduated from the university with engineering degrees. I graduated from their worldwide program while I was traveling and moving around a lot, so that worked out for me. So yeah, I was a first generation college student. I didn't have a lot of direction at the time, so I made a few mistakes along the way, but so I really enjoy helping youngsters not make those mistakes and really get focused on their right path to whatever they want to do. And a big part of what Embry-Riddle, what we focus on is making sure that our students get jobs in the industry that they want. So happy to be here. Hope I can help out.
Awesome. Thanks, George. Sally, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you again for having us here. I'm really excited. So a little bit about me. I have worked for at least 25 years, so I'm showing my age now, plus, in multiple positions in the nonprofit sector. That includes prevention education, volunteer management, and education advocacy. And I've done that by supporting students in the K-12 sector and their families to empower them to be the best that they can be. This led me to PIA, Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics, where I'm on the admissions team. I'm an admissions specialist. I am new to that position. But what's so exciting is I get to help students explore their post-secondary options and what PIA and the aviation industry can offer. So it's really exciting to be able to do that. And I do it primarily through reaching out to high school students through their schools, student-focused events, and platforms like this today. And the great thing now with these virtual presentations is we can go out and visit anywhere. So it's limitless where we can go and really just empower students so that they know the options that are available to them. So a little bit on PIA is we have been in existence since 1929. We were founded out of the Curtiss-Wright Flying Services. So that is the same Orville Wright that was first in flight out of Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. So this makes us over 90 years old. We are ranked by Forbes as the #1 two-year trade school in 2018. So that's something we're really proud of because it really is a true testament to our students and their successes. We have 4 campuses in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Youngstown, Ohio, Hagerstown, Maryland, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is where I'm at. In 2017, all of our campuses were selected by Delta Airlines as partner schools, and it was done on the understanding of the impending shortage that there is of qualified aviation technicians. And Delta created a mission to help increase both the awareness of technician demand as well as the knowledge and character of technicians entering into today's workforce. So we offer 2 specialized programs, Aviation Maintenance Technology and Aviation Electronics Technician. It's a 21-month avionics associate's degree program leading to the FCC avionics technician. And some of you may be asking, what exactly is avionics? So just really quickly, it is the electronics of the aircraft. So the navigation system, communications, radar system, autopilot systems, flight controls. Simply put, it is the brains of the aircraft and it allows it to function. We also have a 16-month certification program in aircraft maintenance, and that prepares students to be certified FAA as the aircraft mechanic. And what they do is inspect, repair, and maintain the aircrafts. So they work on the airframe and the power plant, the body and the engine of the plane. So it's like the muscle of the plane. Our graduates complete the 1900 clock hours, which includes the 9 A&P exams, so they're ready to work as soon as they graduate. Oh. And then just one more program is the dual program, the Golden Ticket program, where you can earn your AMT and your AET together in 33 months. And I want to tell you a little bit about one of our alumni who is a Golden Ticket, especially as we have Embry Riddle here in the room, because she graduated from PIA. Her name's Kate Fulmer, as on the Golden Ticket, and she went to work for Pratt & Whitney in Florida as a research and development technician. In the meantime, she continued her education at Embry Riddle University, and Pratt & Whitney not only assisted her in her tuition, but also allocated her 3 hours of paid time a week just to study. So, you know, this isn't always the typical compensation. It may be a little bit above the norm, but it is available there in some capacity to further your education once you become an ANT. So, you know, we're very proud of our graduates, and I know I can go on and on about them, and I won't because there's other people here too. So just a couple of quick takeaways I want you to think of, and I know we're just starting, but students, high school students, do well in school. That's your #1, do well in school. Females, we need you. Only 2.4% of AMTs are females. So we encourage you to explore this field, this industry. You don't need any mechanical experience to go to school. And the last one and most important, you're never too old. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. That's a fantastic introduction. Thank you for talking about the different types of programs that you have. I think it's important that we highlight every type of post-high school opportunity, education opportunities, because there was such a push for a long time of only a 4-year degree, and we were not showcasing enough options for trade schools that might be a better opportunity. And then you talk about the example of going for a 2-year program and then that stemming into a 4-year because they realized that's what they wanted. So I think that's great that PIA is offering those sort of opportunities. And I think the more we can expose high school students to those sort of opportunities, we can kind of start growing that workforce. So that's really great. All right, Jessica. I think you're muted. There we go.
Good morning, afternoon. I'm Jessica Sanders Walker. I'm currently in Alabama, which is home to Sanders Aviation and Sanders Flight Training Center, and also is where I fell in love with aviation. I soloed when I was 16 years old in my grandfather's Cessna 172, and we've completely refurbished her. I'm actually looking at her out on the ramp right now, and she's part of our Part 141 and Part 61 training program here at Sanders Aviation and Flight Training Center. We're very multifaceted here. We've kind of got our hands in a lot of different things, and Sally brought up some really great points. About 3 years ago, when I became the COO and the Vice President for Operations at Sanders, we really started to have these meetings with major industries like Delta and several others that said, hey, we're coming up on this huge aviation shortage. Where are we going to find these pilots? Where are we going to find these mechanics? So we drafted the first of its kind in the state of Alabama, a program that we initiated into the trade schools here in our county that showed children, and we were such a predominantly coal mining community that some people had never traveled outside of our county. And we showed them this entire new world of aviation, whether you want to be a pilot or a mechanic or ATC or work for the FAA. And we started doing field trips. We were able to take them down to a Blue Angels air show and go to the tower at Birmingham. And fortunately, because Sanders Aviation is a large school for transitioning military aviators to the airline industry, we had some incredible people that every single week, because they were coming through our training facility, we were able to take to the schools. So whether it was a Blue Angel pilot or we had somebody that's a payload specialist from NASA come speak, the FAA, you name it, we were just able to start getting these ideas and these pathways in front of students who normally would not know that. We're now initiating it into the city schools as well. COVID has kind of slowed us up from that, but we're working hard. Also, Alabama's home to the Tuskegee Airmen. So we've been helping them to develop a 141 program and using our fleet of red tail travel airs to do their multi-engine training in. So we're really proud of that. We're also a PSI testing facility. So all of your FAA written knowledge tests you can take here. We also, offer all the different flight training I told you about in our Cessna 172s, our travel airs, and our seaplane. And we absolutely love what we do, but working with youth is wonderful. And I know that I think everybody hit on this, especially George. The main thing that we tell people on day one is right now is when you have to start. We can't talk about this after we've had some mess ups and things that are on your record that, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go into the military, you're not going to be able to go into the airline industry. Because these things, they don't go away, and your decisions matter at this age. They matter a lot more than you think they do. Even when I was young, I can think of some instances. But the aviation community is all about connecting people, and at Sanders Aviation and Sanders Flight Training Center, we are about that. So we are constantly looking for new, innovative ways to engage with students, to engage at any age if you want to become a pilot. So, and my role in the company is I have a master's degree in administration. So when we kept growing, that's when, you know, I came to Sanders Aviation, which is the company my father founded in 1996. So it's really fun working with your dad sometimes. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time, but I love being in this industry. There's not many women, like you said, Leah and Sally, that are in this industry. So I always get really excited when I see, especially young women, coming into the field of aviation.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. All right, so I have a couple basic questions that we kind of anticipate a lot of our students watching are going to be asking. So I'm going to kind of go through those questions with you guys and open it up to the three of you to answer as you feel comfortable. And when it seems like we've fleshed through that question, we'll move on to the next one. So the first question we have is, what are you guys seeking for in new students these days? Whoever wants to go. George?
Well, I was going to let Sally go, but I'll go. Yeah, so for us, most of our degrees are STEM-related degrees. All of our degrees are Bachelor of Science programs. So we're not specifically looking at any, I mean, we don't have a quota in terms, we don't look at if you're a top percent of your class or certain GPA or certain, you know, there's none of those particulars, but so we are looking at everything that the student provides us when they apply. But obviously, when you're looking at a Bachelor of Science degree or career in a technical field, math and science is really key. So those are some areas that we really focus in on when we have students applying from high school. You know, it's just the way it is. You don't have to love physics and calculus, but you're going to have to be able to do it in order to get certain degrees. So, you know, the advice that I give students is especially if you want to be a pilot, technician, aerospace engineer, space physicist, you know, you're going to have to be prepared for that curriculum. So do the best you can in school, as we've heard from others, but math, you know, you're going to have to at least go up through pre-calculus in high school. That would be the minimum math that we would accept for most of our technical degrees. We also need to see some lab sciences, physics, chemistry, biology. They don't have to be AP classes. They don't have to be honors classes. We do recognize those classes. We do take a weighted GPA for students that do take those classes, but if you don't have that access to that, then we'll take the normal classes also. So we're looking at a well-rounded student that's been participating in clubs, activities, competitions, but that also has done well academically, especially in the math and science fields.
Awesome. Thanks, George. It sounds like, you know, you're looking for a student that is actively engaging in STEM subjects, especially, you know, maybe through their electives, they're picking more STEM-based electives, such as like engineering can sometimes be an elective, or even microbiology is sometimes an elective. I know it's offered here in our school district. Or after school extracurricular activities, there are definitely construction clubs, there's math clubs, there's computer science programming clubs, kids get together and learn how to hack, there's hackathons, you know, there's a lot of things that students can be doing outside of their regular curriculum to showcase their interest in a STEM related degree. And it can be anything really. I mean, STEM encompasses so much. So I think there's a lot that students can pick from that they'll be interested in to showcase for a university such as Embry-Riddle. So thank you.
Yeah, and just to finish with that, we see a lot of our applicants have been involved in Civil Air Patrol, Young Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those types of organizations, robotics competitions.
Yeah.
We do a lot. We give scholarships for the different robotics competitions, the rocketry clubs like TARC and Systems Go.
Yeah.
You mentioned the hackathons. We host those on campus. We have another scholarship that's called Cyber Patriot for students that participate in those activities. So all those things are great experience for a high school student coming into university. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks, George.
I'm going to jump in, and obviously what George said, I completely agree with everything. The only pieces I guess I can add to that from our perspective is just, we know this career holds a tremendous amount of responsibility and ownership of work. So we're looking for students also that have those problem solving skills, they're the students that are troubleshooters, that like to work with their hands. But also commitment is huge. Per the FAA FCC, that there has to be 100% attendance to these programs. So this isn't a program for somebody that, maybe is going to be out sick, or, I'm tired this morning, maybe I'm not going to make class, because, you've got to get those clock hours in. So somebody that is really committed full time into this program.
I think that's a great point about commitment, Sally. And, you need to show up every day. You need to show up on time. Those are basic skills for any job. But when you look at an industry such as ours, that, we're putting people in the sky, we can't be lazy about that. You have FOD, foreign object debris damage. We have those programs enacted at work to ensure that everything we're building for an aircraft has nothing no debris in it, because that could cause an issue. And if we're lazy about those things, that puts people's lives in danger. And we want people in these programs that understand the weight of what they're doing and the importance of it, because they're dealing with intricate designs, intricate machines. So I think, emphasizing just the basics of showing up every day, showing up on time, and that commitment is extremely important for this industry.
And I think to add to that too, Leah, is also that willingness to want to learn. You don't have to come in as a student with this vast experience around a toolbox. Because that's what we're going to teach you. And I've heard many students for our program say, yeah, it's great, it's hands-on, I love the hands-on aspect, but I don't know my way around tools, and that makes me nervous. Then, if you've got that mentality, that willingness to learn, that's all you need to come in, because we're going to teach you, not me, but our great instructors are going to teach you the rest.
That's really great. I think that's a good thing to emphasize to students who, I'm sure there's kids that say, well, I never work on my car. How could I possibly learn to work on piece of aircraft? And explain to them that these programs are designed to teach you everything you are going to need. You can walk in with nothing but a willingness to learn it, and you're going to be equipped with the tools that you need to be successful. So, awesome. Thanks, Sally.
I will say, because we're a little bit different in the fact that our flight school is not attached to a university. So sometimes we'll get kids that are 15, 16, about to turn 17, when you can get your private pilot's license. And there are two things that we ask of them, is that they have focus and that they have drive. And a lot of times at that age, if they're not learning that at home and they're not learning that at school, they will learn it from us, because we don't do show up late and still get to fly. Your flight goes to somebody else. We don't do call mom and dad. You are the student. We will, discuss things with you. So it is part of flight training with us at Sanders Aviation. It is a real world growing up learning experience. We're not going to spoon feed you, but we're going to give you every single tool and every single ability that you will need to be a successful aviator. And that is something that I'm seeing more and more today, especially in our high school classes, that is imperative that we teach to this generation. And so we are adamant about, keeping your daily schedule, keeping your routine, showing up, letting us know, if you're not feeling well and not going to be able to make an appointment.
Jessica, how often do you deal with, having to cut somebody from the program? Are you seeing, this generation is coming in ready and prepared to do
they are so much smarter than I am, obviously, with technology. So, things that are wonderful for them is now, using our 141 syllabus and having everything pulled up on an iPad, and they are whizzes at that and doing things. When I learned how to fly, we're still using the whiz wheel and doing the VOR checks. And I'm like, wait, what is that you have on your iPad? And we put them through, to come here, you go through an interview process. So if you want to enroll in our Part 141 private pilot course, you'll sit down with our chief instructor. You'll sit down usually with me or our flight school manager as well. And we want to know why you're here. And it's easy to know. Every aviator, as we all know, has a story. They went to an air show when they were 5, and that's all they wanted to do. So it doesn't take us long to figure out somebody might just be there because dad was a pilot and dad wants them to be a pilot. And then we put them in a discovery flight, and we also give them some free sim time to make sure that that's something they really want to do. Unfortunately, we had somebody that came to us and just got really, really bad air sick. And, you know, they were so upset because they really wanted to fly, and we kept trying to fly with them. And now I think they're going to end up being more on the tech side and trying to go to SpaceX, which, you know, everything always has a way of working out the way it should. But the interview process, usually that is in place to weed out. You meet with our chief instructor every single week. The instructors are there to bring them along. We do not like to disenroll people from our program unless it is just absolutely necessary for the safety of flight.
Great. Yeah, so you kind of started talking about the admissions process, which is my next question. Do you want to dive a little bit more specifically into how your admissions process works, Jessica, and is it different for the different schools that you have going on within Sanders?
So for private pilot is the most, it's the longest admission process that we have, and everything starts on our website. So sandersaviation.com, fill out a website training request, tell us a little bit about yourself. We will get back to you in 48 hours. And now with COVID, we've really started setting up a lot more Zoom and Ring Central conferences to get to know the student and see what their needs are. That is a longer process as far as admission for the private pilot. We have about 500 military aviators that come through each year to get their ATP. And that admissions process is usually faster because we know, okay, this person has 2,000 flight hours. They have, you know, good standing in the Navy or the Air Force, whatever it is. But we still like to take the time with them because a lot of times people leaving and transitioning from the military don't understand much about civilian flying and the FAA. So we're also there to really cater to that student as well and make this new journey to civilian aviation mindful, because it's very nerve-wracking going from the military constantly telling you where you're going to live and what you're going to do into, oh, now I make all these decisions on my own. So we kind of make that a point of ours to make sure that they're getting all the information that they need. And sometimes we even talk to the wives or the husbands because they're nervous to get out of the military. So we take that job very seriously.
That's wonderful. George, Sally, do you guys want to speak to your different admissions processes that you have?
Sure. I mean, ours is pretty simple in the sense that if students, once they hear about us, the next step is it is a requirement that they have to come onto the campus, whichever campus they're interested in, and have a personal tour. They then meet with the admissions specialist who goes through the course catalog, the expectations, the attendance, and really sort of spells out intricately the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then they get a tour around the campus where they actually go into the classrooms. Sometimes if we're lucky and timing's right, then can meet with the instructors and talk to them. Then if they want to apply, they then move forward with the application, but they have to have that tour in before we can accept the application. Once that's completed, we do have a math assessment. I don't want to call it a test, it's an assessment that they take. You can't fail it, it's just an assessment. But you do have to have a certain percentage, and if it falls below that, then there is a free math course that you have to take before your first day on campus. That's pretty much it.
Wonderful. That doesn't sound too intimidating.
No.
All right, George.
Okay, yep. So for us, and I didn't do as good a job as Sally as talking about our campuses and programs and all that. So we have 2 residential campuses. One's in Florida, one's in Arizona. when we also have our worldwide system. But most of our high school students coming out are coming into our residential campuses. The process is you do apply on our website. We're not a part of Common App, so they have to go through our website. They submit their application, and they do apply for a specific degree. We don't bring them in and then have them apply to a college later or whatever. So they apply specifically to the degree that they want. In addition to the application, we need their high school transcript. And then the optional items, SAT, ACT, we've been a test optional school for 4 or 5 years now. Most schools went that way this year because of the pandemic, but we've been there for a few years. So if you're a good test taker, you do well on those standardized tests, we would encourage you to send in your score. If you don't feel like that score represents you academically, then you don't have to submit. And we would just go off of your transcripts. So we do need, that would be the minimum that we need to start the review process. But we also, the other optional items would be essay, resume, letters of recommendation from your teachers, things like that. But we're going to look at everything. And again, once we feel like a student is prepared themselves to be a part of Embry-Riddle or do the programs that we offer, we would accept them. Our acceptance rate is about 68%. It's not as hard to get into Embry-Riddle as people think. You really, again, just have to meet the requirements. Once a student is accepted, they're automatically considered for scholarship. Our merit scholarships, you have to have at least a 3-point grade average to qualify for those. But they range in different levels depending on the performance of the student. And then we go through the process of looking at need-based aid, and we have other scholarship opportunities like ROTC, athletics. And as I mentioned before, we give scholarships for robotics and rocketry and some other things like that. So it's pretty straightforward. I would just add that we get a lot of students that are confused and they may apply to both campuses. They're only required to apply to one, and if they're accepted at one, they're technically accepted at both.
Okay.
They can switch to the other campus if they like. So
That's good to know.
pretty simple process.
Thank you for touching on the scholarships aspect, George. I think that's probably a really popular question for our students. Sally and Jessica, do you have any information on scholarships that you would like to maybe share that you accept or you promote, or maybe they're internal scholarships, or you know of external scholarships that might not necessarily be specific to your school, but they would be at least specific to an aviation related training?
The only thing I can say is, our financial aid department works with this. Students will meet with, obviously they complete their FAFSA forms, and then our financial aid department will meet with them, go through those forms, and they know of any scholarships, the financial aid department, that may be appropriate for the student to reach out for. We do, and George reminded me of this as well, we do not require ACTs or SATs either. So I guess that's kind of important to put out there. And, never, to students that are listening in, never let money be the barrier. Go in and talk, whether it's us, Embry-Riddle, whatever, go in and talk to that financial aid department, because they always know some resources to go to.
That's very true.
We also connect them with different fields of aviation in the area, like the 99s, the Birmingham Aero Club. There's all kinds of different local scholarships. We also, the Sanders family offers a scholarship for aviation. And then if someone is having trouble financially paying for something, we do have some pay-as-you-go options and other things so that no one is held back from the barrier of payment.
Wonderful. Yeah, the 99s is a female organization, an organization of female pilots. I'm part of the local chapter here in Reno, but they offer a lot of scholarship opportunities to women specifically. But for anybody looking for aviation scholarships, there are hundreds of organizations out there that want to give money to students that are interested in careers in aviation or interested in flying. It really is just a matter of a search on the internet. One good resource is AOPA.org, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. They typically have a scholarship list of not just their scholarships, but scholarships that other organizations are offering for students to become airline pilots or become A&Ps or just get a degree based in aviation. There are organizations that want to help get students to where they want to be. So definitely don't let money and the fear of that stop you from investigating it, because there is a way. You just got to be willing to work for it and meet the right people and network. Networking, I would have to say, is the most key thing. You need to start meeting people because most people in this industry want to see other people excel, and they are willing to help, whether it's financially or connecting you to the right people, getting you in the position for maybe a job that you can be working for flight time. As just an example, there are so many opportunities to figure out that financial side of this. So that's a great point, Sally. All right, my next question is, how can students prepare? George touched on this on taking, STEM-related classes. Is there anything else on that list of things that students can do to prepare to apply for these organizations?
The only thing I can think of that hasn't been said, I mean, obviously just do well in school, hit up those math and science classes. And I know it was touched on about, and I think Jessica, you had said it about being, just be careful on the criminal record side of things. Companies are doing regular drug and alcohol testing. So, keep that in mind. You want to have that clean criminal record because certain offenses may cause some challenges, and that includes some driving offenses too. People, I think, especially the younger generation may feel that driving offenses is kind of not important, but in aviation that can come back to bite you. So really just watch out on those sides. And some companies even require federal security clearances.
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, George. I think a big part is, and lots of local communities offer this, is just interview prep, resume prep. These things are so important. I know that, we're in the death of paper right now, but, someone that takes the time to put together a well thought out resume to me, and they come in dressed nicely, that they would come in dressed for the interview, and just a firm handshake and looking you in the eye will go further than sometimes what's actually on your resume, and just your willingness to work and go the extra mile. Like if you want to come in and be the CEO, well, our CEO also walks the ramp and checks for FOD every morning, just like the janitor does. So having that ability and taking the time to be mindful in your preparations and just showing, wherever you are seeking a job or seeking to go into a flight school, showing them that about your personality means more to me than most things.
George?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think I touched on it earlier, but one of the things that high school students can do is if their school does offer AP classes or IB classes, we give credit for those classes. If they have the ability to dual enrollment classes with a local college, we take those credits. So personal example, my sons both came in with advanced standing. I see a lot of students that come in with advanced standing, maybe a semester's worth or more. And so not only does it cut the cost, but it also puts them in a position to where they can do an internship, they can do a co-op, and it won't put them behind on their graduation. Things like that, and it just gets them further ahead with getting into the core of their studies, so they can get past some of those basic classes quicker. So if you have those opportunities, I would recommend it. And then for flight students, what Jessica was talking about earlier, we're seeing more and more of our flight students come in with a private. We recommend that. I think it's a great way for a student. I have a lot of students come to my table at a college fair and air show and, tell me that they want to be a pilot, but they've never even maybe been in a small airplane. And so, I'm thinking, well, how do you really know? Until you've had some experience, until you've done this Discover flight, like she mentioned earlier, you may go up and it may be a terrible experience for you. So we would recommend trying to do those kind of activities as soon as possible to make sure it's what you want to do. And if you do get your private, we give credit for that, and it puts our students, our flight students, a year ahead on their flight training. And so they can get quicker, they can get to their flight instructor rating quicker, which means they're not paying us for flight, we're paying them to be instructors, and they're building hours. So anything that you can do ahead of time in high school is great.
Awesome. I just want to touch back on, Jessica's point of showing up well dressed with a clean resume. These are, a firm handshake, right? There's those soft skills of just showing up prepared for the interview. I've interviewed plenty of employees, and you could have the most dashing resume, but you look like a slob, or you're not making eye contact, you're not carrying a conversation, and it's going to kill the interview. Or it's the other way around, and your resume saves you because you did prepare a really nice resume, but maybe you're a little nervous. I'm going to dig into that resume that I can clearly read, and I'll start pulling out the information that I need from that resume. So you really have to make sure you're prepared on both ends. And, Pathways, just a mini plug for Pathways is, we will work with you, the students, and we will redline your resume over and over again until we get that resume exactly where it needs to be. That's what we're here for. We're here to mock interview for you. We'll go help you pick out your outfit for your interview. How can you, there's Peter's face, he's a little concerned. But we're here to prepare you to be the best candidate that you can be for these organizations, whether it's admissions into a college or it's admissions just to go walk into your first job. These skills are applicable for any industry, just those basic skills. So that's really important, Jessica, that you pointed that out. And I love that you pointed out, your CEO is doing the FOD inspection on the ramp. And I think when we talk about leaders are the ones that are willing to do any job. And when you walk into a job interview and you show how much you're willing to work and you're not above anything, that'll speak even more than your resume, because you're showing that you're going to do whatever it takes, and you're going to spend that time working on any job they ask you to, because you're not too big for the job or too cool for the job. You'll take out the trash because it needs to be done. And these simple skills are what really speak to leaders looking for new leaders. So I'm looking at our chat, and we have some questions coming in. One of them is 14 or 15 years old too early to be looking into exploring your programs? How soon can students start looking into these programs?
Yeah, so I'll just jump in real quick. So for us, we do have some summer academies, summer camps some are focused on flight, some are focused on engineering, some are focused on cybersecurity. So for a high school student or a younger student, I believe the ages are even younger than that. So they have an opportunity to do summer camps. We also have a free online Aviation 101 program for younger students, where it kind of introduces them to some key topics in aviation. It's all they have to do is kind of go to the website, sign up for it, and they go through a series of free classes that were very well put together. So we do have a couple things like that to help the younger students.
For us, we will start flying you. You can't solo until you're 15, receive your private pilot's license until you're, 16 and 17. But solo at 16, private license at 17. But we have a lot of other opportunities. During the summer, we partner with the Southern Research's STEM program, and we have a free drone academy that their thesis project is that they use a 3D printer to print their own drone that they've designed using Bernoulli's principles. And then they come out to Sanders, and we set up all these obstacle courses and everything else for them to use their drone and have all these rewards programs and things like that. We also do a full in brief for what they would experience at a Part 141 ground school. and we make it fun. So one of the scenes that we use is from Madagascar 2, when they build the airplane and it obviously does not fly correctly. And we talk about why that is, to kind of capture at a basic level the forces of flight. But we do discovery flights. We had a young man start at age 14, and he's just kind of slowly progressing. And so it's very interesting, because a lot of times being that age, that spark is already there, and you want to capture that while you can and keep them interested in the facet of aviation. That's great.
I think gliders is 14 or 15. So, and you know, if you want to start young, gliders are a really great way to build hours at a lower cost. You can save a lot of money by getting your glider license first before you transition to power, and you can start a lot younger. So that is an option out there for the students listening in. What other questions? Please feel free to use the chat and kind of plug your question in. If you have any questions for our panelists or pathways in general. Let's see. Are there any other flight schools that we know of, like Sanders? Jessica, who's your competition?
Oh goodness, there's a lot of flight schools all across the country. It's whatever flight school fits your needs the best. Do I think there's another flight school like us? Absolutely not. Our instructors have over 60,000 hours of experience. Our chief flight instructor was a Prowler and Growler pilot in the U.S. Navy, graduated from the Naval Academy. My husband's an instructor, and he flew F-18, 16s, and 15s, races at the air races. So you get just so many different experiences here. Obviously we're heavy military, but we're also heavy in all the different things that we do in the community. I think that there are a lot of, and we're kind of on the border of being a mom and pop. We've been here since 1996, but we are continuing to grow. We also offer on-site billeting. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a lodging on site, so that if you are younger, you can walk back and forth to the hangar, to the airplanes. And when you're here, you are part of the family. We have weekly grill outs. We have a huge Jumbotron in the hangar that we watch movies on. You are getting the full family experience and the guidance that you'll need from our private pilot ground all the way through the ATP CTP program. Your CFI programs, and then we want you to be successful. We want you to come back and instruct with us, and then we want to make sure that you're getting your dream job, whether that's at 135, 121. If you want to you love it here and you want to be our chief flight instructor in the 141 school, we are not done until you are where you want to be and you're successful in your aviation career.
Jessica, can you explain the different parts, 121, 135, to the folks listening in, and part 61?
Yeah, so part 61, flying, it is more a slower pace than a part 141. It stays, 61 does not adhere so strictly to a syllabus or to the syllabi that you would be using. A part 141, you have to be apply for. Sometimes it takes years. Through the FAA, they have to approve your syllabi. They have to come out, and your airplanes are a lot more heavily inspected. Your chief instructor has to go through all these different FAA check rides as well. They are both excellent training, and they both meet different needs. So if you go through all part 141 your whole life, you can do what's called later on a restricted ATP, which means you can get all of these ratings in less hours. So it's more cost effective. But it may be that you can, and for part 141, you'll be flying 4 to 5 days a week. Part 61, maybe you're working full time. You can come out and fly with us 2 or 3 days a week, and you're not following the syllabus so strictly, and that's okay. It's whatever is best with your schedule. Part 135, that would be your charter operators. That's, companies that fly out of Vegas or Birmingham, and you'll get certified for that. And then 121, those are your big guys, your FedExes and Deltas and those. And for all of these, starting out, you'll need that TSA endorsement, and we'll do that for you. And then we also guide you in the world of, what is legal and what is not, because the FAA documents are always changing. There's a new advisory circular that's out. They've amended some of the FARs, which are federal aviation regulations. And I know that you guys do a great job with that too at Pathways, because that's something you're keeping your students updated on.
Great, thank you for explaining that, because I know you've thrown out those part terms a lot lately, and sometimes it's nice to be reminded of what they mean. Do George and Sally, do you guys have any final comments you want to add to this before we start wrapping it up?
I want to hang out at Jessica's place.
Me too. Can you have a party at the air races?
Come on, Sally, I love it. Come down.
Just, I mean, everything I think has been said. My end is just, you know, especially to all those students watching, just follow your passion, reach out to people, talk to people. You don't have to make the decision instantly. You know, knowledge is power. So just research, talk to people. Everybody on here I know would be happy just to chat with you and let you know what's available. That's pretty much it.
Thanks, Sally.
Yeah, I would just, I think Sally had mentioned this earlier. Don't let, when you're looking at a school, don't be scared away by a price tag or the reputation of the school or anything. I hear so many students that have come up to me, or older adults that have come up to me at an air show and said, you know, I was going to apply to Embry-Riddle, but I didn't think I could get in, or I didn't think I could afford it. And you just hate to see, you just don't want to be in that position, you know, what could have been or what I should have done or whatever. So if there's a school that you think is a good fit for what you want to do, apply, see what they're going to come up with in terms of scholarships and help. And you just never know. We have a lot of students at Embry-Riddle that are able to close the gap, or some of them are not even have any out-of-pocket cost if they're on an ROTC scholarship or something like that. So there's an old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. And I think that applies in aviation more than ever. If you really want to be a part of this industry, there's a way to make it happen.
Great, thank you, George. Jessica, any last thoughts for you? Final comments?
Just thank you so much for having me. And Alex and Evan, I've been seeing you guys, and you look both so nice with your shirts on. So you guys are already way ahead of the rest of the group, because y'all are here and you've been attentive and focused and look nice. And that really means a lot to us. And I'm so glad that y'all were here. And if I can ever help you guys in any way, I'm always happy to talk to you on the phone, or have a Zoom call with you as well to help counsel you in your aviation decisions. And thank you to Pathways for all that y'all do to make this dream come true for so many.
Awesome. Well, thank you, George and Jessica and Sally, for talking with us today and answering so many questions. I'm sure we'll get more that we're going to send your way, but I will hand this back over to Pete to close us out.
Wow, thanks, Leah. Jessica, is there a spare office that I can move Pathways to?
We have plenty. We have a
And I'm not joking.
B&B appointment room next to the free office.
Perfect. Eric, we're moving. You guys were amazing. Jessica, Sally, George, our amazing moderator and fellow board member, Leah. Thank you so much. You guys capped off a great week, and I don't know how we could beat the previous sessions, but you did. The information you brought for students, and we have a number who are live on the call right now, one of whom is actually on George's radar. You guys gave them information that they may not have previously had. I know that we have a father on the call who's anxious to talk to you about his kids. So thank you very much for providing that information. I know I will be in touch with you after this call to continue discussions, but the time you gave us today and any preparation you put into today, it paid off. So on behalf of all Pathways to Aviation, thank you very much for attending and participated, and you will definitely be hearing from us tonight. I think I'm just going to close it out, and Eric, I may turn it back over to you, but on behalf of Pathways, thank you. This was truly, truly amazing.